Trump,
Am I
and if
what?
not, why? I mean, you two have a personal relationship.
I know you would think as well as no. I think he's a horrible man. The one thing I'll say, no, I'm not supporting him at all. And let me be clear. No, I'm not. And then, but I will say the one thing that gave me hope is that, and people, certainly other people have had this observation since, though I was the first ever, is he's very self-aware, and like that was one thing I sensed is like, oh, this is, he's playing a character.
Right.
That was the sort of the one thing that gave me a little hope that maybe like at some point he's gonna just say like, ta-da!
Right.
I was just kidding. Congratulations, Hillary. It's probably not what's going to happen.
It's just,
but he is more than anything else just a performer. So I did like that about him. As a performer myself, I was like, oh, we have something in common.
well,
I think that's all we have in common.
You sort of have that.
Well,
you have sort of that quality a little bit, right? Like you put on that mask at times.
oh, sure. Yeah, that's what I kind of admired about him. But no, I do think, let me be clear, he's human garbage. I'll have to say that. Just lest anyone.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I was in
you don't want to be on the
Portland
wrong
recently.
side of that divide where people are thinking you're an actual Trump supporter.
No,
Particularly if you're trying to sell a book
and
that involves reading.
well, I know it's a tricky line to walk because I want people to know, no, I do not support him in any way, but I also don't want to miss out on all those sales from Trump supporters,
Right.
who would naturally gravitate towards my book. No, I was doing an interview in Portland last week, and I think I was pretty clear where I stood on Trump, and it wasn't enough for them, and I had to just like really be horrible and say all sorts of bad things just because it's Portland. They could not handle that I wasn't being completely venomous the whole time
Towards Trump.
about Trump.
Yeah. Well, I got to say,
Trump.
I got an IM that was complimenting you on the Trump impression. He wrote, that guy has a great Trump impression. You could hear Melania in the background.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I do have that certain something. A lot,
So wait,
this is. I would argue that we're at the peak. What's that?
Wait. You would argue that we're at the peak of what?
Of Trump, if you have a Trump impression, now is the time.
Yes.
I like to think that this is the peak of it.
I
don't want to be wrong and like, oh no, actually, the next 4 years is when you're really going to want it.
Right, exactly.
But I don't think that'll be the case.
Yes, it's hopeful thinking. Although I got to say, most of the impressions we do around here are from people who have not been in the news for literally sometimes decades. But with that said,
like Basil Rathbone and stuff.
Oh yeah, we've got Wilkie. Someone does a Wilkie impression here. And
Wendell Wilkie.
Yeah, someone does a great Wendell Wilkie here, and Eugene Debs. I mean, a lot of it is political figures, but
sure, yeah.
Margaret Atwood, we do. Very obscure.
Yeah.
Ones. Yeah. I mean, it's also much easier to do because you don't get Yeah, exactly. You don't get as much criticism about them if they're really dated. But you do always got to start them with like, "Hello, I'm Wendell Wilkie here again," and then you do the impression. I mean, that's the. So tell me, Dave. So is this second one? It's another memoir. I mean, how much of a life have you lived?
Oh, it's nonstop. No, I mean, I don't think of them. It's more of a collection of essays with a theme.
And
which I guess is a memoir, you might call it.
Yeah. What is the theme of this one?
Standalone.
What is the theme of Dave Hill Doesn't Live Here Anymore? Is that just
It's mostly it's about getting to know my dad in that, since my mom died, and sort of our shifting relationship, and along with my acceptance of adulthood, but still being an adorable little boy. Yeah.
And
but it's primarily about me and my dad. My dad's 83. Actually,
wow.
After this show, I encourage
he's an
your
old
listeners
dad,
to
isn't
go
he?
on YouTube.
Is he? Your dad's quite
He's
a bit
83.
older. Did he have you when he was old? Was he an old dad when you were growing up?
Oh, he was 72. Yeah.
No, he wasn't 72 when you were born. No. No, Dave. That would make you 11.
He was a little older.
Well, I asked because my son.
Yeah, no, that doesn't check out. No,
my son is 46 years younger than me, 47 years younger than me.
Oh yeah, so you're going to be in the same boat.
Well,
but it's great.
That's why I'm asking.
I pay for a lot of stuff now. He's got plenty of money, but I'm a grown man, and I gotta I pay for Panera and Applebee's and stuff. But people should go on YouTube, search Stairway to Heaven Dave Hill, and you can see my 83-year-old dad playing Stairway to Heaven on the piano.
Oh wow!
Which I also write about in the book.
Well, I don't know.
But it's the best non-cat-based video on the internet.
The best non-cat-based. You know what you should have done? You should have thrown a cat in there, too, because then that thing would have been huge.
I know. Hindsight's 20/20. Yeah, we just needed a cat to jump on the keys at some point.
Well, tell me.
Would have had one of those viral things.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like to have a dad that age when you were a kid, because I keep my father's only less than 30 years older than me. And, but Saul's almost twice as that. And so I'm just curious as to what was it like when your dad came to your high school graduation and everybody's like, why's Grandpa here?
Oh, it wasn't like that, really.
Well, I feel it's going to be like with me.
I'd say he's only like a little bit older than some of the other dads,
All right. Thanks for the insight, Dave.
It's not that big. I think you're going to be fine.
Is your book this insightful?
Because I think you're going to be fine.
All right.
Well, I don't want to give it all away. You know why? I can't give it all away for free.
But do you think that people read the book for the suspense quality? Like, how's it going to work out? Like, or is it more like the experience of reading?
Oh yeah. I think both. I think people, it's not a bunch of dick jokes. There are a couple dick jokes in there because I know people, if you don't throw a couple, they get disappointed. But no, I think it has heart and depth and those things that you wouldn't really expect.
From you?
No, and I'm told it's from me, yeah. You think, well, it's just going to be a bunch of dick jokes, won't it? But no, it's got it all. It's got it all. I mean, I get covered in urine by a homeless guy in one essay.
On purpose or by accident?
The Mexican. No, it was an accident. I mean, it was no accident, actually. He did it on purpose. But, so no, it was not even slightly an accident.
But it was not your plan to get covered in urine by a homeless guy.
No, it was absolutely not my plan whatsoever. But yeah, that's in there. I go to Mexican prison in Mexico, and that's the longest essay.
When did that happen?
International intrigue.
When did that happen?
That was a couple of years ago.
Did I know you?
Years ago, a buddy. Oh yeah.
I wasn't aware of that at all.
I probably didn't. Well, a couple of years ago, there was a story in the New York Times Magazine about a friend of mine, Bob Coogan. You can Google Robert Coogan, New York Times, the story will come up. He's a guy from Brooklyn, became a priest, and then wound up in a Mexican prison and as the chaplain. And the cartel guys killed the warden And the Mexican government, always being on top of things as they are, said, well, sounds like you guys got this covered. We'll just be outside if you need anything. And so my friend stayed the chaplain in the prison, even though these murderous cartel guys were running the place. It was like Thunderdome. So there was a whole story about it in the Times. So I was like, I'm on the next plane. This sounds so fun. So I went down and I visited him. I went to the prison, and God damn it! I'm sorry about this dog.
Wait, so you went to visit your buddy?
No patience.
Wait a second. You went to visit your buddy who was stuck in a Mexican prison that was being run by the drug cartels?
Yes. But and then the Mexican government had their guards on the outside, so he was allowed to come and go
and to have friends over.
And I figured have friends, take your friend to Mexican prison day. And I went, and I don't speak Spanish.
Well,
which
that's
is,
probably for the best. You may not have wanted to know what they were saying.
No. Well, he thought it would be nice if I could make light chit chat while I was in prison. But I play the guitar, so he's like, play the guitar as much as possible because you really want these guys to like you. And there was like an implied, they'll kill you if they don't like you.
Well, that's probably.
So, but fortunately,
that seems to be. I'm not sure if that's implicit. I have a feeling in that scenario, it's probably explicit.
Yes, I think you're right now. I'm thinking about it. But fortunately, Mexican prisons are lousy with guitars. They're everywhere. So I just grabbed a guitar as soon as I got in there and just started ripping solos. Because that's one thing I've learned. Every man.
It feels like an old Elvis Presley movie. It feels like an old Elvis Presley movie. Like Elvis Presley is just brought in. He's like, how am I going to deal with with this cartel? I know, just play music.
It worked. It absolutely worked. We left prison, and my friend Bob was saying a mass. So and there's they're playing guitars in the mass. So I just started kind of like soloing along during the mass, and then he goes and hears confessions, and there's plenty to confess in a Mexican prison, believe me. So he's gone for a solid 45 minutes, and it leaves me with the inmates, and they are all coming in from the yard, and they're just playing chords, and I just start like soloing as fast as I can, and they're really getting into it, and this crowd is forming, and then we take a little break, and one of them looks at me and says, "Hotel California," and I was coming right up, and then I played Hotel. No comedian can say they played at Hotel California in a Mexican prison other than me. I'm confident.
I'm pretty convinced. I mean, yeah, I think that's probably true. Now that
I'm thinking about it, a couple names come to mind.
I don't know why that. But none that have written a book about it.
No one can take that from me. Well, I've performed stand-up at Sing Sing a couple times. The Sing Sing, that's the prison upstate.
Right.
Very popular prison.
How do you do there?
And I've done stand-up there.
How do you do when you do stand-up at this prison? How do you do? Do you honestly?
Honestly, I do really well because, which is sort of what made me want to go to the Mexican prison because, I booked in 2009, just on a drunken dare. I booked a show at Sing Sing because, you've known me a while. You could see how me doing a show at Sing Sing wouldn't be the best idea on paper.
On paper.
I decided to follow through with it.
How much you get paid for a gig like that?
Yeah, on paper it doesn't seem.
No, on paper it feels like.
Oh, that's on the house, literally.
I gotta say,
It's just my way of giving something back.
I understand. No, I understand. No, and that's nice of you. I got to say though that if I was to come up with two things that that I would not anticipate Dave Hill doing, it would be, well, three things. It would be A, performing at a prison, B, performing at a Mexican prison taken over by a Mexican cartel. I can sort of see you at a Mexican prison still run by a warden. And I would say also writing ringtones for Donald Trump. Like I say, you've hit it, man. I don't even know. I don't know what you're going to do for your next book.
I'm also good at. I don't know. I mean, let's face it. They may not let me write another book. The jury's out.
The jury is
Hopefully
literally
they
out.
will.
Well, I hope. Listen,
the jury is literally.
We're putting a link at majority.fm to your book, and I don't see how people would not buy your book after listening to these stories. I'm actually going to buy your book after listening to these stories, and I don't read anything that's not about policy.
You.
Oh, well, in that case, yeah. No, I'll support your book. Of course, I'll buy it.
Well, I'm happy to send you a copy.
Well, let's not fight about this, Dave.
And I'm thanking your listeners in advance for picking up a copy themselves.
And are you doing any reading tours or anything like that around, or are you done? Are you done touring?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of events already. I mean, I've done I think 5 events in New York City. I've done a lot of the East Coast, but I'm still in West Coast. But
June 9th, you're going to be in Milwaukee.
Thursday in Milwaukee.
And then June 11th in Chicago.
For next Friday, I'll be in. Yeah, and June,
and then on June 22nd, you're going to be in New York with Loudon Wainwright. You're going to be doing the summer residency at Seder Winery. July 10th.
Yes, I'll be June 18th. I'll be in. I will be at Drawn and Quarterly in Montreal, June 18th for your Canadian listeners. So, yeah.
And you're going to be in Britain.
DC at Black
in September. You're going to be in London. We got a lot of British listeners.
I'll be there in September. I'm going to be there in August. I'm doing a week of shows in August.
Wow.
I need to put that on my website. You're reminding me.
Dave
And then
Hill.
I'm actually touring Switzerland in the fall.
Jesus.
Doesn't stop.
What a great life you lead.
I'm on a lot. What's that?
What a great life you lead.
Well, I don't have a family, and
I know why. I know why you don't have a family.
Sadness, really. Let's be honest.
Well, let's be honest.
I'm just trying to make up for that hole in.
I took a trip to the Brooklyn IKEA a couple of weeks ago. I'm still thinking about it. That was my excitement.
About getting rid of the family?
No, just going to the Brooklyn IKEA.
Well, you're still thinking of the.
Yeah, I'm still reminiscing on my big trip.
Pretty fun, right? But you have don't you have chickens or something?
Kids, 2 kids.
But don't you have some sort of caged animals at your place? Or am I way off on this?
Dave Hill. It's Dave Hill
I guess
online.
I just think what I want to think.
Yeah, no, I don't. No caged animals.
That's my website, Dave Hill Online.
DaveHillOnline.com.
What's that?
DaveHillOnline.com. The show is the goddamn Dave Hill Show. You can listen online via WFMU live on Monday night from 9 p.m. Eastern to 12 a.m. Eastern to midnight, I guess. And you can also listen to the podcast. Dave, it was a pleasure.
Thank you. And tell them to buy the book again, of course.
Buy the book again, folks. Dave Hill doesn't live here anymore.
Dave Hill doesn't live here anymore.
All right, Dave. Thanks for doing this. See you soon.
Yes.
All right, talk to you later.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.